Same time, Victoria, there's a demand letter here from Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party to the chairperson, Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, and I'll just read it in part. They're addressing the failure of Kim's kids' fallback on manual register. They say that the Raila Odinga presidential campaign is appalled by the large number of Kim's kits that have failed since today morning all over the country, despite the numerous statements of comfort that have come from you personally, addressing this to Wafula Chebukati, and from some of your commissioners, that technology will not fail on voting day. The campaign is also appalled that the vast majority of these failures are occurring in the strongholds of Honorable Raila Odinga. That's according to the letter they wrote. Now, they're saying that the Raila Odinga presidential campaign demands the following from you and your commissioners with immediate effect. There are three demands. Number one, that they issue a public clarification to the voting Kenyans and your electoral officials that the manual voter registers shall be used in the event of failure of Kim's kits in accordance with the ruling of the Court of Appeal in the NASA case and the yesterday's ruling as well. I think they've already addressed this. Yes, and number two, that you announce to the Republic all the polling stations that are yet to begin or have delayed the beginning of voting because of failure of Kim's kit. And that number three, the final one, is that you announce an extension for such time as it necessary to give an 11-hour voting window to all the areas that Kim kits have failed.
All right, so we did hear from the IEBC commissioners a bit earlier on from the Bomas of Kenya, and they did clarify that 200 Kim's kits had failed, and that was over the over 46,000 that are in operation. So just to clarify that it's not as widespread, and also there was a clarification that this happens. Technology does fail, and they did put in place contingencies to respond. They would also reveal, and I guess that's what Azimio is asking about, reveal specifically which polling stations those are, if they can do that by name, so they can know what they're working with. Yeah,
this letter has just come through, and this is coming right after they'd also mentioned that in Makueni, in Kibwezi West, 84 polling stations have now been allowed to use the manual register. In Kakamega, 154 polling stations have also been allowed to use the manual register. They did mention that in Dadaab, security concerns were there, so the polling stations are yet to be opened. They also mentioned gunfire in Eldas, in Wajir, and the officials were trapped there earlier on. And in Turkana, there was an accident where a PO and two clerks were rushed to hospital, but they're in stable condition.
That's right, and they did find replacements for those election officials who were heading to a polling station in Turkana. All right, let's cross over now to Kirinyaga County, where we understand Anne Waiguru is there to cast her vote. And of course, she is the sitting Kirinyaga governor. There she is casting her vote. It is 4 minutes to 2 p.m.
Kirinyaga County, county number 20, 376 and 1 registered voter there. Those are the numbers according to the IEBC latest data. And of course, Kirinyaga governor is the one voting as we speak. We have several constituencies there as well. There's Mwea, there's Gishugu, there's Ndia, there's Kirinyaga Central, there's Kangema. That's the end of it. Mwea, Gishugu, Ndia, Kirinyaga Central, and Kangema. In Mwea, there are 131,714 voters. In Gishugu, there are 92,495. In Ndia, there are 69,743. And in Kirinyaga Central, there are 82,049. This election is really just about the numbers. That's why we keep reiterating the numbers that are there, so that you appreciate the magnitude of the polls as the election goes on. And we know now that she has 6 ballot papers there, which she has to mark them one at a time.
No, certainly, Trevor, you mentioned this is about the numbers. Kirinyaga, of course, making up a part of the larger Mount Kenya region, which altogether is 10 or so counties that make up a voting basket of 5.7 million registered voters. So, you know, when you're looking at what each contribute, Kirinyaga being one of those key counties, by the end of today, that tallying, that vote counting will speak to what the voters are saying on the ground.
Absolutely. And let's bring back Joshua and Irungu Houghton on this. Joshua, in terms of your reaction to what IEBC has said in terms of the polling stations, are you confident that they have this under control? Joshua?
So far, so good. Going by their statements, I think I'm confident with their decision to be able to complement. The only concern maybe is they need to address the issue of time. Where there was a delay, they need to expressly state, and that should come out as early as now. In fact, as I was watching the presser by the commissioner, my proposition was simple. They should have it. They should have that press desk have 30-minute. Every 30 minutes, they should be giving an update instead of waiting for a pile-up of issues. Let me give an example. Like as soon as you can see the letter from Azimio, I'm sure by the time Azimio was sharing the letter, they were already responding. So look at mismatch of timing. I would assume if they had responded ahead, I don't think even the letter was necessary, because most of the concerns they have addressed in terms of allowing the manual, the use of manual register. So this is the best time for IEBC to move with speed when it comes to communication and addressing challenges. Again, it is also important for them to mention names in terms of polling stations or constituencies that are affected, because I've actually seen an update where they have cancelled also 2 constituencies. I think that took Rongai and should be Kitui or something. Yeah, yes. So such information must be shared in real time, because this is what I've noticed. A lot of misleading information flows through social media. And number 2, you find multiple accounts. You can have an account which you may think belongs to IEBC. Not everyone has a verified, for example, on Twitter. And because of that, you didn't know which is truthful, which is not truthful. So the only way we can be able to cover that gap is by IEBC having their 30-minute, wall-to-wall. The way we are doing it here, wall-to-wall, is what they should be doing, 30-minute, so that every aspect is addressed on need basis and within the same time. But so far so good. I am not in any way worried, or I can't sound any alarm, because the technological issues that have arisen, they have been able to state, and more are happening, because it doesn't mean that whatever failed in the morning, that is a final. Others may fail as time goes by, possibly. Some may malfunction, because I could see some concerns that some are overheating and all that. Those ones, now that they have already known how to deal with a failed KIMS kit, it is easier for them now to deal with any arising problem. Importantly, I think I need to pick out something. If you look at the court ruling, even on yesterday's order by Court of Appeal, which reiterated that they will stick to what the Supreme Court has previously said on matters use of KIMS kit, where they say, if it fails, we resort to. Something very important on that is that a court has already made a pronouncement. It shouldn't be too difficult, and it shouldn't take too long for the presiding officer to make that decision to revert to, because even the commission in its regulation and direction, they have already given that process out, whereby they say as long as a voter is identified with ID, and they must take a photo to confirm that this is a real person. My only concern, why then does it take long for that protocol to be adopted where the KIMS kit has failed? Why should they again go the long channel, I think maybe writing an email, waiting for communication from the commission who are at Bomas? So that long channel, now that the court already pronounced, IEBC adopted it in their regulations, even in their protocol for voting. When they were mooting, I saw that the other day, chairman and the team, when they were mooting voting, they were doing mock voting. That one was applied. So I think the information should be blanket. Maybe one memo can make it easy. A single memo from the commission, signed by the commission chair, addressed to the county returning officer and copied to the constituency returning officer, presiding officer, and the deputy presiding officer, formal, and then shared with the media and the stakeholders through their liaison committees. It will make the work easier. We wouldn't have this back and forth, whereby I had the commissioner asking and say, speak to us, call us. But the time it takes, how about if I'm in a remote area where I can't access phone? How long will it take for them to respond?
Joshua, hold that thought. I'll come back to clear with you.